Could you briefly introduce yourself and share what the title Vertical Godmother means to you?
That's a strange one, right? So my name is Jaxx. I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and got into the vertical space in March 2024. We did an interview before, obviously about a year ago, I think. And I was approached for coaching by one of the vertical leads at that time, and I'd never heard of vertical drama. Started exploring the space, and a few months in, after meeting a lot of people and going to LA, one of the producers said, "Hey, I feel like you know everyone in the space and you're connecting everyone in the space. I'm going to call you the vertical godmother." And I was a little hesitant because I thought, are you talking about mafia, or is this more of a fairy godmother thing? And he said, well, either or. And I thought, okay, I'll just lean into it. And now I'm starting to notice that more people know about the vertical godmother, but they still don't know what it is that I do. And I don't blame them because, well, I do a lot of different things. And I think for me, it just means that I feel it's very important to be sort of like one of my guys calls it a linchpin in the industry. So just know a lot of people, be able to connect people that might benefit from each other's knowledge and skills and help build the community. And that is basically why what Vertical Godmother feels like to me. So more that I'm proud of helping build and connect.
How do you define short drama or vertical drama, and what do you think is the core or essence of this format?
Two parts of that question. So for one, I think it's sort of like a reward and escape snack. So it's short moments of feeling and emotion, of urgency, connection, maybe even an intimate moment that you can choose to relieve stress during the day or just to relax or to have that moment to yourself. And on the other side, I feel that it's, for me, it's opportunity and growth because there's so much potential in the space for everybody, so many opportunities. So it's a two-part thing for me.
So what's the core or essence of it?
Yeah, it's soap on steroids, I think, which makes it very powerful. It's because of the emotions it evokes. I think that's what the format does. It evokes strong emotions that bring reward and escape. I think that's what sets it apart from other formats. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I
go
like
for
that.
emotion.
Yeah, I normally just introduce short drama as an emotional product. And you work across talent development, mentoring, production, industry, and professionalization standards in vertical storytelling. So, what made you decide to contribute to the microdrama industry in such a broad and hands-on way?
Well, one thing led to another, basically. It has to do with background. So with always having helped people in selling and presenting themselves, and also from a learning perspective, a marketing perspective, and it just clicked. I thought, okay, this space has it all. There's so many opportunities to help people grow, to help the space grow. I want to contribute from my experience and from my knowledge and skills. And so yeah, it just made sense. And every time I see an opportunity to support and to connect, that's what I do, and that's how it grew basically. Yeah, from one thing it led to another, and I think the space really deserves that attention and deserves our hard work because there's so many people in there that are smart and that are trying to build their careers and they're trying to build businesses, and it's a very demanding space, and the growth, it's going so fast that I think that sometimes we forget that some things need to be more professional or need to develop alongside that fast-paced growth. And wherever I see an opportunity to make a difference, that's what I do.
As far as I remember, you start with coaching a microdrama lead, right? And then how those spots connected. I'm still curious because you mentioned they connect each other and how this
Yeah.
way, how
Yeah, so I started, as you said, like, with coaching vertical leads, and I started meeting more people in the space, producers, directors, platform executives, etc. And at first I thought, okay, besides coaching, it might be interesting to do something from a learning perspective. So create a work experience project around vertical productions, because that would have people gain relevant work experience very fast, people who are just graduating, for instance. So that's where we started. But then I thought, okay, but the commercial potential is also huge. And that's when I connected to a few people in my network, and one of them is a known actor in the Netherlands, internationally working actor. One is basically like the rom-com king of the Benelux. So it's a feature film producer who does a lot of rom-coms, but also huge productions in feature film. And he said, "Ooh, this is interesting." And he got someone else on board who is a former Sony International Pictures president. And we started brainstorming, okay, what shall we do? Shall we build our own platform as everybody did in 2024? And we thought, no, we need true to our core. We know about content. Jaxx, you know about the space, about the people in it, and about what the content might need and how where it will grow and develop. So let's build from there. And basically, that's what we're doing. And that's how I got into more and more and more whilst discovering the space. So we started building our own production platform. But when you meet people, you see so many opportunities and so many things that could improve or could be improved. And then I just dive in. For instance, I'm not sure if this is related to this question, but the vertical space has a strange or new type of connection to the fan space. When you see the relationship between actors and fans, it's very different, for instance, than it is in mainstream. The direct connection and the access to stars is basically what drives the space, but it also comes with risks. You see a lot of fans doing interviews, doing reviews, which is great, but it also blurs boundaries between being a fan and being a professional. So wherever I can educate and help people in, okay, how do you deal with fans? What is a good boundary? What part of you as an actor would you share on social media, or what type of relationship do you have with those fans? Where are those professional boundaries? How do you deal with that? How do you take care of your own mental well-being whilst being in the space and feeling you need those fans? They feel they need you, they need access to you, but what is a clear and healthy boundary there? And with fans doing reviews and interviews, is that because they really love the content, or is that because it is a means to an end in more access to a creative? And what does that do to the quality of what they're putting out there? And I started thinking about that, and we developed a training program to help actors basically deal with situations like that. When people cross boundaries, and how do you deal with your social media, with media in general? How do you deal with questions you're asked? And then I thought, okay, what we need in this space that is developing so fast is more professional media. So I connected with a journalist, an entertainment journalist, Marcos. His handle on Instagram is The Power Journalist, and he interviews many people from mainstream media, A-listers. He just did, last week, he did the cast of The Devil Wears Prada, for instance, but he also did three headliners in verticals from Ukraine. So Mary Vishnevskaya and Nazar and Bogdan Ruban. And this week he's moving to other vertical actors again, and also doing the cast of a huge production in Hollywood. And I feel we need that. We need space. We need this space to get the recognition it deserves from mainstream entertainment journalists as well. So that's when I see an opportunity in professionalizing, in improving, or giving it the recognition that it deserves without saying anything about the fans, because the fans are very important, obviously, but there are boundaries and there are things that should be approached more professionally, or can be approached both professionally and through fans. And if there is an opportunity, I try to jump in and make it happen. And that's what I love about connecting people. So with Marcos, I connect him to platforms, so he gets credits to watch series. And then I connect him to actors he'd like to interview. He does amazing reviews of verticals. He works with high professional standards. And that's what I really respect about him. But also, it is something that I think the space deserves. So if there's anything I see where I can make a difference just in connecting people and helping elevate, that's what I do. And that has nothing to do with coaching per se. It's just that I meet people, know people, and think, okay, that makes sense. Let's see where it leads us and see if it helps.
Yeah, I'm actually quite interested in what you said because I interviewed a casting director before, and she said those actors should have their social media to have exposure of themselves, so build a fan base because that's what platforms want. And you just bring out another aspect. You said there is a boundary between what you post and what you answer to the fans. Can you share something more about this? How to connect with your friends but still have a boundary.
There's so many parasocial relationships in the vertical space. I mean, you would never expect if you are a fan of Lady Gaga and you respond or comment on one of her posts, or you send her a DM, would you expect her to reply? No, you wouldn't. But in the vertical space, access to creatives is sort of like the catnip of fans. I mean, they love the content, it gives them a certain reward, but having access or being in touch with actors is a reward that surpasses that just watching content. And they start craving more, it seems. So you see fans approaching actors, doing edits, doing posts about, which is good. I mean, that's just supportive. And then you see that they start DMing 10 times a day. Then you see that they're doing edits and tagging 20 actors in everything they do, or just the one actor 20 times a day. And then it's getting to a point where it's not normal fan behavior anymore. But the actors feel that they need those fans to build their career and that it helps to be in touch with the fans to build that career. But obviously, you're also a person. You're not just the actor, the role. That is something you show on the outside. Your social media is basically a business tool to promote yourself, to promote your career. And you're not obliged to share any personal details there. It's your business. And so what we do with our training program and with a sort of like a short guide we have, and that's also something I do during my coaching sessions if people ask for it, is okay, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with fans who approach you through DMs, who share intimate stories, who share intimate pictures sometimes? And well, to be honest, I don't feel that for someone who's 25 and working as an actor, maybe not even with an acting background, I don't feel it would benefit that person to receive a picture of a toothless, overweight 70-year-old woman. I think that is very offensive. And I feel that if it were a male who were doing that to a female actress, everybody would be like, okay, this is violating behavior. And in the vertical fan space, sometimes some things are considered normal, especially when approaching male actors that are absolutely not normal behavior and that are absolutely not okay. So, what you can do as an actor, for instance, is create a system where you are very polite, but the only place you comment on posts or reply to things is in public. You don't do that through DMs. You don't send people pictures through DMs. You don't send voice messages because it's not just fans out there. There are also scammers that will use that information. There are people who will try to blackmail you. So please don't go there. Don't interact on a personal level, but you can still maintain your professional image and be in touch with fans in a public space. So in comments, you can just like comments. You can also reply with something that's non-committal, basically, where you appreciate the fact that someone supports you, but you don't ask questions and you don't make a conversation out of it. You can just say, hey, I really appreciate your support. I'm so happy you like my work. It can even go into titling content in a specific role. I'm so glad you enjoyed me being Scarlett in that vertical. I enjoyed that role because blah, 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 this or that, or it made me explore something about acting that I hadn't explored before. So you do share information, but it's not about you. It is not something that people latch on to where they feel, "Ooh, I'm in a conversation now," because then they'll start wanting more and expecting more. And the expectation is what's the creepy part. And you have to define boundaries as a creative, because it will deteriorate from there, and the behavior boundaries. And at a certain point, you'll be in a situation where you feel it's very hard to return from that situation. I've had actors reach out where they say, okay, there's this lady. She is a fan. She has a fan platform, but she's now DMing me because I shared that I had a little headache on set this morning. And she said, where are you? What is your address? I'll drop by Advil. I am your mother, your actor's mother. No, you're not. And why would anyone share their address? Why would they even share their work location? I feel that that's crazy too. Sharing information about where people work or visiting a set, that is a high stakes professional environment. That is where people have to concentrate, where they have to act out emotions. You have to, when you're finished with a scene, you need to take a moment to basically touch ground again and just relax for a bit or prepare for your next scene. And if there's someone there that is a fan, even if they call themselves a professional, and they want to get their pictures taken with you, and you feel uncomfortable, but you're afraid to say something because, I mean, this person posts on social media and your career might depend on it. It is not okay that someone is there, someone is sharing those locations, someone is invading a professional environment and expecting things, and then that progressing into trying to create a more personal or a deeper professional relationship where there is no professional relationship. It is those risks, and in a mainstream environment, you'd never encounter that. It's unheard of that a fan would visit a set of a film and just get interest. This is not someone that is press. It is not someone with a professional interest being there. So why would they be there unless they're building something that benefits the space? I can give you an example. For instance, Megan from Real Drama, she is trying, like I am, to make things better, to improve conditions for actors, to make sure they are fairly compensated if they engage in any type of promotion or any type of interview and stuff. She does that. She tries to a space by doing that in a professional way. If she does an interview, there's a videographer there. She arranges a time. If there's a manager involved, she approaches people when she needs to through managers. That is how it should be. And that is not how this space up until now has been built, because fans have been very important and they will remain very important also because they are a huge feedback engine for content. That does not grant them the right of access to people working in that business. It grants them the right to watch their content and be happy to watch that content and to do fan edits, but it doesn't, that subscription with access to the actor as a person.
Let's pause for a second. Imagine you are in a crowded marketplace. Vendors selling cakes, jewelries, all kinds of things. And you are one of the vendors trying to sell a story. What kind of story will you tell? And more importantly, how do you keep people stop listening and actually pay? That's the narrative logic of short drama. I explain this in my book, Short Drama Writing 101. Write what platforms want. It's available on Payhip, Amazon, and Google Playbooks. Now let's back to the video. I think it's very important for the actors, if there are any actor or actress, especially actors, because currently the microdrama mostly are female fans, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what they should pay attention to. Be professional, right? Still engage with the audience, but in a professional way. Talk about the characters, your career, not little bit about your personal life, but not too much, right? That's what you
Exactly.
mentioned.
And that's also why we need more professionals in certain roles within the space. For instance, I helped out organizing VertFest last year, so got some big names in. And the lady who was doing the meet and greets, who was organizing the meet and greets, she has a background in events organization. That's what she does. She arranged all the meet and greets, but she got in professional moderators, people who work at Comic Cons as actors' agents, who know what they're talking about, who know how to moderate meet and greets. And that's important because you're there to protect the talents. Yes, it is a fan experience, and it is important that it is a positive fan experience, but you need to monitor behavior and you need to step in when you feel that an actor is getting uncomfortable or that boundaries are crossed. And in many of the things that are now organized, also meet and greets, whether online or in person, it is organized by fans. Events, for a large part, are still organized by fans, which means that you don't have those checks and balances like they should be there. If there's a meet and greet and there is a fan moderating, boundaries will be crossed. And if an actor isn't doing well on that particular day, a moderator should end the conversation, should just say, hey, you see, we will not be continuing this meet and greet. We will continue at another time. I'm now going to close this. I don't know if it's a Zoom call, and we will get back to you. But instead, you see, oh, he or she is sharing something about their personal life, about their insecurities. Ooh, we want to know. So they let that conversation continue, and that is just unhealthy. And what it also creates is then people, because many of the fans in the space come from a background of having been through something traumatic or something of illness or a death in the family or an experience that impacted their lives greatly in a negative way. And that's when they found vertical drama. That's when they started watching the content because it brings you that reward and that emotional connection and the people that are so close to you because you see them on your phone screen, it feels like they're for you. But if those people start moderating meet and greets and things like this are discussed, like mental well-being, the insecurities of an actor, that's when the fans feel, ooh, he's even closer to me. We have a personal connection. He is my friend, or he's someone I need to tell my personal history to. No, you don't. And it gives actors sometimes the feeling that they are now responsible for the well-being of those fans. They feel that they're responsible for it to an extent that they need to answer all their questions. And then it will grow from there. And people will get in touch every day and they will get, or they potentially will get nastier and less positive when that progresses and the actor doesn't behave the way they expect or doesn't reply the way they expect or with the frequency they expect. And that's a slippery slope. And the usual conversation, especially when an actor has a vulnerable moment, which we all do, is when someone pays you a compliment about your work first and then starts asking questions about you, about your day, about where you are, about your background, about you as a person. But it is a fan and they help build your career and they started out with a compliment. Where is that boundary? And that is something, not just me, but also some people who've been doing that for years come in educating people, in educating, defining their boundaries and dealing with this type of behavior. Also in simple interview situations, because when you deal with a professional journalist, and for instance, when dealing with you, you send your questions beforehand, you edit the content after we're done with this interview, you show me the content, and when I agree that that is okay to be posted, that's when you share, that's when you use it, which is how it should be. But those professional standards and ethics do not apply to all fans in the space, and you cannot expect them to uphold certain professional standards because they are not professionals. So you don't know what you will put out there. You don't know sometimes which questions they will ask. How will you deal with those questions? What will they use of your interview? Will you be consulted beforehand? You don't know, but you should be, and you're able to put your foot down before you enter into an interview or any type of public speaking is, okay, how are we approaching this? What are the rules and regulations of this interaction?
I'm also curious, because right now, currently, most of the Chinese microdrama actors, they mostly got their own agent. And in Chinese situation, the agent kind of like they're care of everything. Of course, they take a share of their profit. What about those like American or overseas microdrama actors? Do they or mostly are individuals or they have their own agent?
Oh, it's different per person. I'm happy to say that with the industry growing, you see more and more people getting management, getting agents. So that's good. I feel it's very important when your career reaches a certain point that there is someone fighting in your corner, that is checking contracts, that helps you build your career and helps you make decisions in building that career and setting goals, long-term goals and shorter-term goals, and what you would need to achieve those goals. I think that's very important, but it still differs. There are many people who are self-represented, who do all their negotiations for themselves, which comes also with a huge responsibility because if you have to do that, you run your own business, you are on set on a project, you have to do your socials because that's part of your business. You have to make sure you tape and do auditions every single night because even if you have 50 projects out there, they still make you or make most of the actors audition for every single part, even though they've done the same part 10 times already. So you have to do that. You work long hours, then you have to do your admin. And you have to make sure you check all of your DMs and your emails on all platforms because when you work internationally, you have WeChat, WhatsApp, texts, maybe Lark, your Gmail, etc., etc. You have to check all of those during the day to see if there are any offers coming in or any requests coming in. And it's hard. It is a business that takes you about 15 to 20 hours each day to just maintain and to make sure that you have a job for next week and you know you will be able to pay rent next month, for instance. So I'm happy to see that many people are seeking representation, whether an agent, a manager, or both. But there are still many people, and I feel that is a global thing, that are not represented. I have people just getting into the business, a Dutch actress who has a manager in LA, also a good friend of mine, and I help her sort of as a mentor in building her career. From my perspective, I help her get cast. Basically, I help her connect to casting directors, to get on channels where projects are posted, etc. So I feel it is important when you're trying to build your career that you feel like you have people fighting in your corner and making sure that yeah, someone is looking out for you.
From your perspective, do women have any unique advantages in this industry, whether as actors, producers, mentors, or industry builders?
I think women help grow the space in every role. Could be an actor, could be a director, producer. I mean, and there's so many women in this industry, which makes total sense. I mean, they know how to build that emotional connection. Most of the audience is still female. Yeah, I think that's the essence of it. I think that women realize that emotional currency, now emotion is the real currency in the business. I think that's the best answer. And I think that women realized that sooner than men did. And I feel that's where we have an advantage in the space. It's not just about the numbers, it's not just about the data, it's about that emotional connection you create. And I feel that is the currency of the business. And that is where women make a huge difference.
At the same time, what challenges or disadvantages do women still face in a short drama space?
It is the recognition of the value of their work because most of the people watching verticals are still watching for the male lead, for their abs, for what they represent in that fantasy, basically in that reward system, but they wouldn't have the platform they are now having without the hard work of those female leads. And I think that work should be valued more. Even when you look at what we previously discussed, all the fan edits and the reviews, you see so many of the bigger fan platforms mainly focusing on the male leads. It's always about the male leads and much less about the female leads, whereas there are quite a few male leads that are doing really well, but they basically built their career because of the female lead being so good. I mean, some of the guys are not the best actors. They don't have a background in it. They don't need to be the best actor as long as they're engaging and they have chemistry with their co-lead. But it is that co-lead that is the one that is doing all the hard work to create the success of that series. So I feel, especially for actors, that it is women that deserve more recognition for that, because that man can shine because she's there.
Because I actually had this conversation with Alicia Reed. I'm not sure you know her. She's from Canada.
Yeah,
She's an actress. So she
she used to
said,
live in Holland.
"Oh, really? I didn't know."
Yeah.
She mentioned about so actress herself. It's an instrument. So the female lead used this instrument, her body, her emotion, and everything to perform. But guys, when they perform the microdrama, can go to gyms. But for female actors, it's really hard for them to recover. They maybe for a long time to recover from the feeling, emotional trauma. And I agree with that. But the thing is, those male leads are the projection of
Mhm.
the female audience. So that's why, and there are a lot of female titles, female shows, and that's why those guys, those microdrama actors are like their salaries are higher. Those female actors, co-leads, salary composition can increase. How this is possible?
Oh, that's a hard one because where the space now stands, it is still women paying for the content, and so they are basically dictating what we watch, and that is how the compensation system also works. I mean, if a project goes into pre-production, one of the first things you think about is which male lead are we getting, and then okay, they need the chemistry with the female lead, so we also need a good female lead. But I don't think that there's any production that starts with, ooh, which female lead do we need? And of course, there should be fair compensation. There should be equal compensation. And you see some of the male leads, but those are well-known leads. They have leverage. They can say, okay, I will do this project for you, but only if you reward my or pay give equal female co-lead. But not everybody does that, obviously, and they're not obliged to do so. But it would be fair to just demand it, but it's simply not yet. There are only one Chinese producer, female producer, obviously, always pays her male leads and female leads the same rate because
Mm.
most of the time the female lead even has more lines than the male lead. So yeah, why wouldn't she be paid the same? But how to change it, I don't know. I do feel that with where whilst the Western audience is now growing, and we are starting to explore different storylines and different content types and brands entering the space ever so carefully, I feel that will give more opportunity to talent. Whether it's equal, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question because I don't know either, but it's good that we put our voices out there, equally paid. So you spend a lot of time mentoring and coaching lead actors, both on and offset. What do you think female performance in vertical drama need most today? Like better training, stronger representation, safer work environment, or more complex roles?
The recognition of the value of female performance. I think that's very important because they, like we just say, carry a huge amount of the emotional storytelling in a vertical, and I don't feel that they're getting enough recognition for that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
also a lot of responsibility on the male lead shoulders, obviously, because I mean, you have I call it male lead syndrome. I mean, they feel so responsible for an entire production, for the success of it, even if they are just an instrument in the whole thing. But because so much depends on their performance as well, that I feel that they carry a lot of that weight as well. But the female lead basically makes that happen with their performance. So, yeah, recognition.
Emphasize professionalization standards and improving safety for performance and business. Why is this specifically important as short drum industry grows so quickly?
I think we touched upon that as well, especially for the safety part. The content is so intimate and it's on your phone, and you feel like those actors are close to you. You feel like they speak to you. And especially for people that are a little damaged when they enter the space as a fan and start watching content, and we all are a little damaged, obviously. But when you've just had a traumatic experience and you find vertical drama, you start watching, you feel so close to your stars, and then there are so many things not yet regulated in the space, and the fan behavior can get transgressive, and there are so many parasocial relationships. I feel that that's why it's so important, and it is a bit of a double-edged sword because of what we also discussed. You need those fans to grow the space, and they're a large part of the space growing. I mean, you need them to pay for their subscriptions, you need them to watch the content, and it is very good that they're giving feedback. But I feel professionalizing where we can guarantee the safety of everyone in the space is very important.
You also spend a lot of time connecting people across platforms, production, casting, creators, agencies, and management. From your perspective, where do you see the biggest needs or information gaps in a short drama ecosystem today?
Well, it is starting to get smaller, but I think that people entering the space not all realize how sophisticated the format is, how it works, how the storytelling structure is, how the business model works, and how the audience behavior is different. So I feel that it's all about sharing knowledge and integrating everything that was built basically from the Chinese vertical drama market to what is now evolving in for a Western audience. I think we should listen to each other more. I think we should collaborate. I think we should share knowledge, and it is starting to happen. And I feel that is what's needed most. People not just being on their island and, for instance, checking the data and hoping things gain enough revenue to repeat the same thing. I think we should be more open to learning from each other, to also to value talent. I think that one of the main differences between where the content is coming from and where I feel it's going is that it is a started as a business model that's completely data driven, and for a Western audience, I feel that there are so many things that are more important next to that data, where you need those intricate storylines, where you need so better storytelling, where you need better visual quality, where you feel like talent matters because it is so star driven. Look at the fan space. They follow their stars across platforms. They are so loyal, they're so engaged. You don't see that everywhere. And I really feel that we all start to need listening to each other better to make this space evolve. So I think that the biggest gap is information exchange, learning from each other.
So you've working on EU-centered but globally connected production hub. What do you think Europe can bring to the future of vertical drama, especially in terms of talent, locations, and storytelling diversity?
To me, it's obvious, but not to everybody. I mean, there's different cultures, you have history, you have iconic locations, you can integrate those into storylines, create that deeper emotional connection even. It has great brand value. I feel that we are entering a phase where um, it will not just be about a simple product placement. I feel that there's such a huge opportunity for brands to tell their story through verticals, even if they are shorter verticals than there are now. But I feel that complete story integration of a brand makes so much sense. And if you do that to a backdrop, for instance, you have a story about that is evolves around Venice, and there is a brand that of I don't know, a prosecco brand or a wine brand that feels, oh man, having our story told in a romantic setting with the backdrop of Venice, it making sense in the storyline, showing history, showing those locations, and making sure all aspects of it elevate each other, and then use that storyline to also create for a brand that is a separate social media or print campaign. It makes so much sense. Everything enhances each other. I also feel that it is a good thing to not be shooting at the same villa in LA every single day, where everybody who watches verticals now recognizes the location cats. I mean, that's not good. everybody knows it. Oh, that is that house in, yeah, I've seen that in this title, that title. Good. It's not very diverse. I mean, I feel we can do better. We can do better creatively. We can tell better stories. We can make them happen in beautiful locations, and it enhances the stories. Even if your frame is only yay wide, you can still show. I mean, Amsterdam, come on. Amsterdam is the vertical city. Think about it. The canals, the houses there, it is all designed, okay, it is a few centuries ago, designed for a vertical audience, for vertical storytelling. And I feel it makes sense. And so it's not just because I want to create opportunities for people working here, because I do. I mean, I feel that there's so many people here that have expertise in either commercial or vertical or mainstream entertainment that can bring so much to telling better stories. And I'm not saying that we need to improve verticals or change them completely, because there are many people coming from mainstream who feel, okay, I'm going to do this differently and it's going to be so much better. I don't believe that. I mean, yes, you can innovate. Yes, you can tell better stories. I feel that we have now learned that we need to. We better visual quality and tell better stories and make storylines more Western for a Western audience, and that without changing the structure and still getting all the hooks and the cliffhangers in there. You cannot change it completely to showing Hollywood features on your phone screen, because it's just not the same. It's a separate entity and it will remain a separate entity. But that doesn't mean you cannot carefully innovate it and improve the storytelling so it's even more engaging, and add elements maybe that will make it even more engaging. And why wouldn't that be interesting for a brand? Shout out to brands. Come shoot with us in Europe. Also, from
What
a
about
budget perspective, it makes sense. I mean, there's so many beautiful locations in Europe that cost way less than doing it in LA.
yeah, what about AI? Is any creator, actor, or production hub that you connect to there using AI or scaring about AI or using AI?
Oh, you see a lot of experimenting going on at the moment. Obviously, you see platforms who have gone completely AI. You see platforms who are doing the same productions in both AI and physical production. Um, I hope and feel it will even out at a certain point. I feel that AI can be a very important tool to tell good stories. I think you can use it for elements that are now maybe too expensive in creating verticals, but that will enhance that specific story just by using AI smartly, but using it as a tool. That's how I feel about it at the moment. You can it for production efficiency, obviously, but the thing that people are concerned about is being replaced by AI, and I get that. However, if there's one thing AI cannot do is create that emotional connection that it's all about. That human emotional connection, the feel that the situations and the storylines that evoke those deep emotions that create the engagement people have with the space. I, I don't feel AI can do that.
Yeah, still
But I
back
do feel
to
we
the
can, yeah, but I do feel we can use it. I mean, it is there and it offers opportunity. Just I don't feel we should replace humans, because that basically kills everything the space is about.
what do you think the future of microdrama?
Oh, I think that we are moving towards better storytelling. I think that we will get a broader genre development. I feel it will not go fast, but I feel there's room for it. I feel that platforms are starting to realize that when you engage in making that better content, it is very important, because it will reduce churn. I feel that platforms are still in a rat race at the moment, putting out a lot of content and feeling that they're making the difference in the amount of productions they put on their platform, where it will become apparent that it's not just the amount of productions, and but it's about diversity and it's about community. And I feel that those are the elements that help grow the whole space and where it will go. I feel that women will play a major role in that, because they understand that emotional engagement, especially for the current viewer base. And I feel that women can watch different genres as well, as long as you make sure you still incorporate elements that are important for people who watch verticals. I feel that when you start making them better and adding value, that will mean that more people will connect to it and that you can broaden that audience.